I'm going to show you the cylinder shape. I'm going to show you 3 basic shapes that you can make. I'm going to use the same cylinder, and if you can do these 3 shapes and master these hand positions, it's pretty much what you use for everything except a bowl or a plate. Now, I'm going to use my rib. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit here so I have a flat rib. I'm using my finger on the inside here just to push it against there. I want pretty much to just create a straight area here, so I use my finger for that. When I get up to the top, I'm going to change and use my fingertip here just to get some kind of feeling for what's going on there. Now, do something with your pots. Don't be afraid to take a few chances. If you just stay in the same spot all the time, you're never going to make any progress, and you're never going to learn what clay is doing. So, first thing, just if you hold your finger down here, now let's do a finger, do a little finger pass on this. This is the finger pass. I'm holding it here, using the pad, pushing out on the inside, using the pad, and I simply hold that and I move up with them, keeping them exactly the same. When I get to the top, I back away with this one, and so the little bulge gets pushed in and then fix the top. Now, you want to put a lip on this. So the first thing I think what I used to have my students do is I'm going to flare this out and make a lip. So you hold it here, down here, and you lay this out over the top of that. Now, if this clay is centered, when you want to move clay out, this one goes along for the ride and this one does the work. If you want to take it in, it's just the opposite. The one on the inside goes along for the ride and this one pushes it in. And you can do this all day long if it's centered. So don't be afraid, you're not going to move that fast, but don't be afraid to move the clay. So I move this out and put a lip on it. I can change this lip around, I can make it a little fatter visually, make it look like it's a little heavier. Put a piece of paper towel, I'm going to finish that off a little bit. Here, it's okay, I'll take this. So I'm just using a piece of paper towel. You can use a chamois. Some people use a piece of plastic. I hold this between my fingers like this, just wide enough, and when I lay it down, it becomes a covering for my fingers. I'm not shining shoes. I want this to cover my fingers. I also like to cut a little line in here. Now, you want to keep, even though you may get more water in there, you want to keep the water out of the bottom of the pot. I'm going to pull this back up, and I'm doing this mainly with this finger here, taking the clay in. It's a little dry. I'm going to cut a line here, and sometimes I like to do that with just using my thumb. So the first one we laid it out, so we had a little lip on it. We're always going to put a lip on it. Now this one, I'm going to hold it down here, and I'm going to pull this out and flare this out. And once I get it to where I want it to go, I'm going to just move up through this and make sure that it's kind of symmetrical here. Nice line. And I would cut a line down here just to separate this and the lip. And one of the things, if you take this out too far, it's probably going to drop. This, if we fired this, the clay wouldn't be able to hold, this clay here would not be able to hold the weight out here, and it would just drop. And this, and you know, it's possible to do shapes like this, quite obviously. I'm going to cut this off, and it's going to be interesting here and see what happens. It should just drop. Okay, so we'll stop that and take this out of here. And by the way, it's possible to, it's possible to wedge this back up again. I would, if I were, I'm not going to wedge this, but if I were, I would clean it off, get all the slip off of it. Now, I'm going to make a bottle shape here. Not going to be a real, not going to be a real tiny bottle shape, but I'm going to pull this in using the fixed position. I'm going to pull this in, and what's happening is the wall is going to get thicker. And so as it gets thicker, it will also give me an opportunity to make another knuckle pass on this. So I'm going to pull this in. I'm pulling this in at the base with the fixed position, moving up, and try to take this so it just, I want it to be a little more narrow at the top. Again, because I'm going to make a pass on this, and there's a good possibility it may even be as tall as it was before. So now we're going to do the knuckle pass again, and sometimes it's possible to push in with the knuckle to make this a little more narrow at the base. So I scrape away that extra clay. Now, again, the knuckle pass, I'm going to start with the pads of my fingers. I'm going to push out and up. This is a 45-degree angle, and this ends up at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to push out and up. And once I get that bulge, then I simply hold that and I move up with that. If I can get, as soon as I get that thumb outside, I want to get it on the knuckle. It helps stabilize my hand, keeps those working together as a unit. I get up to here, pull this in. And then I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Take this little extra clay away down here. Come in, take this flat one, and again I have my fingers just on the inside. I'm just barely pushing the clay out. So we're going to take this in, and what we're going to do, this is sort of the, this is going to be, we'll see what happens, but this is going to be the body. I'm going to pull this part in so I can start bringing it in. And I'm going to use a modified fixed position. I'm going to use mainly my ring finger and my little finger. It's a little dry in one spot. I'm going to pull that in, and it's going to thicken that up, and it's going to give me more clay to work with. And it's a little wrinkly there, so I'm going to compress it a little bit. I have a finger on the inside, finger on the outside. Take it in a little bit more, and I use the, there's lots of things you can do here. You can do this, pulling with this finger and this thumb, pull it in. Now, what you want to be careful of is, as you're taking it in, if this, wherever you're pulling it in, if it gets too much of a bend, it may just collapse at some point and fold in. Now, as I take this in, it's actually getting a little kind of waffly feeling to it. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back and I'm just running the clay between my fingers and compressing it just a little bit to take that out of there. So, because this is going to be a bottle shape, eventually I'll probably always be able to get this inside of there, but eventually I won't be able to get my hand in there. So take this in a little bit more. So for a bottle shape, this area out here, you want that to be at a 45-degree angle while you're trying to make the bottle shape. I think I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna give myself a little bit more clay. By pushing in on that wall, it made this taller. It gives me more clay to do something up here with the neck of the bottle. and it's in good shape, so I can use this to take it in. This is tougher on the clay than maybe doing this or doing this, so you kind of have to horse it in a little bit. Again, it's in the compressing, it has, as it's compressed, it has some little waffle things in it, so I'm going back and smoothing those out. So now I need to start looking at this from the side, because I'm kind of getting to the point where I really need to design it. So I'm pushing this in a little bit, and this is the finger pass. Finger on the inside is above, and you can see that this is going to get a little taller here. I'm going to leave a little bit of clay up here for the lip. So I'm going to come in here and clean this up a little bit. But in order to see what I'm doing, I've got to get down here. Now I'm at the designing part of it. I want to make sure that it doesn't have any breaks in it, so I'm moving up through here. I don't have my glasses on, so it'll be a blind thing. Now, it's okay, I don't know. It's all right. So this, I'm going to come in here, and pretty much it's almost finished. Now, one of the things that happens with beginning students, they're so afraid they're going to screw it up that they stop before they really get to the point of really designing it and making it something special. Right now, I've done all the hard stuff. I've done all the difficult stuff. Now I need to do the stuff that will make it deserve to live for a long time. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to move in, and I'm going to cut a line here. A little junk on there, take that off of there. I'm going to put a little curve on this to give it some personality. I'm going to flare this out a little bit. I'm going to take my paper towel and smooth this off. There's lots of things I can do here. I can change this top and make it visually a little heavier. I'm going to look at this curve underneath here. I might want to change that a little bit. Bring this up. And sometimes I cut a line underneath here to kind of separate the lip from the neck. If I want to put one of the things I like to do is I like to put some kind of a design out here. If I'm going to do that, while this is centered, I make the frame for that. So I usually do 2 at the top, and then I do a couple at the bottom. So now I can choose some design that fits on there. Some you can carve it all the way through, or just cut it away. It's all kinds of options. So if you control those 3 forms, you can throw anything that's standing up. Now I'll show you how to. I'm going to see how thick or thin this is, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to throw a closed form out of this. So we'll take this back up.
Let me roll another tape for that thing. We're at 14 minutes already.
How much do we have left?
5 minutes.
Okay, let's just do it here. Right, so I'm going to take this in a little bit so I have some thickness here, and I'm going to come down in here, and I'm going to flare this out. I'm pushing with my fingers opposite this on the inside, and the clay is in pretty good shape, so I can be a little brutal with it there. Now I got to get this in enough that I have enough clay here to close this up, and I don't know if I may or may not have enough clay here. And again, I use this finger position because it's in pretty good shape. Now I have some clay in here, so I can come in here and make a finger pass on this and bring some of this clay up, which hopefully will help me get enough clay to close this up. So take this over, and it's going to be close. Come back in here and do another finger pass on this. this up. It's going to be a little work here to get this thing to close up. It's going to be thin. So I'm thinning this out quite a bit here, but you notice I'm keeping this at a 45-degree angle here, so this is stronger. I'm probably going to have to take this down a little bit so I can get some more clay here. I'll come in here, pull this up, and let's see what happens here. See if we got enough clay to make it. It's going to be close. Alright, I think we got it. Okay, so now, because of the air in there, I can take the flexible rib and I can make some changes in this. Because the air will hold it up. It's fun to it's fun to do one of these and screw around with them. A little wobble on the top. It'll have to do. I can fix